Hello everybody, this is Ashley Sweetheart here, and today I'm going to be teaching y'all how to draw anime or manga girl eyes. Why girl? Because I can't draw dudes in my life and I'll never be able to unless I try, but you know, I'm lazy and all that jazz. So basically I'm going to show you how to draw the anime and manga girl eyes using guidelines and without guidelines. First of all, let me just talk about guidelines. When using guidelines, it's basically just a normal guide. So normally you'd like to draw, like I normally draw without guidelines because it comes out more natural, but guidelines can always show or indicate portions in a way. Like how to keep both eyes the same, because I still have that problem. So every time I draw girls, I always make like a line so that I have the eyes in the same place, the same size. I still also have that problem, so it's never changed. So let's begin. So first of all, I guess it would be proper to usually start with two guidelines, which is like this. And these two guidelines are basically indicating the top and the bottom of the eye. So I'm going to be showing you two types of manga girl eyes. The square type, I guess they call it, where the eye has, let me just draw a reference, where the eye kind of comes out like this in a way, and then the circular type, which I'll show you the example when, you know, I start that type. There's gonna be some annoying shadow right on the page, so please excuse that. So first of all, when drawing the square eye, it's suggested to start with the top of the eye, which is basically a simple curve. But when you're drawing both eyes, make sure to leave this much of a space, so you can just draw really lightly because you don't want it to be seen, because later on you're gonna have to erase it. So just really lightly, small space, which is just basically, I guess you could say, a centimeter each. I guess that's what I did, so that it comes out proportional. So to start with the eye, you start with a nice curved line. So the curved line is gonna end almost halfway along the page. And then you try to do it to the other side and replicate the same thing, and also make sure you do it almost identical in length so that the eyes will look the same at the end. So here we go. It doesn't really matter if you get them both looking the same, because I never get my eyes looking the same. I suck at it also. So, and then next you're gonna try to do the curved part, which is basically this part, where, you know, the human eye, our eyes are basically like this. It's basically this part, but then in manga girl eyes, they often just cut off this point and just leave it hanging like that, and then they drop the bottom part of the eye. So that's what we're gonna try to do, where we're just gonna make a slit just like this. It's basically pointing diagonally. I can't speak today. Like this, so we try to do it to the same side. There we go. Now the next part, we're gonna do the bottom part of the eye. So it's gonna come at this line, of course, and it's easy because it's just a line. You can always make it curved if you want your eye to be more circular, I guess. So you go like that, and you do it to the other side. So this eye is pretty easy and simple. So the next part is the lines, which is making the square. So usually when I make these squared eyes on my girls, I like to make a gap to indicate a highlight. So I'd go down, then I'd stop midway through. So you can also make a guideline for that, just really lightly, because you don't need so many guidelines because they get distracting at some point. Then I leave a little space, then I go back down, then I go up here, and then I just go straight down, right? And then I go to the next part. So I go down, and I stop, then I go down, then I go up, and I go all the way down with this side. Now, feminine manga girls usually have eyelashes. When you're drawing this style, like the square style, you don't usually need to draw eyelashes that much because it already looks feminine as it is. But we're just gonna draw eyelashes using reference. Now when making eyelashes, point of correction, please try to resist from making the eyelashes rigid. When drawing, you're trying to use your wrist rather than using like your whole hand and holding it tight. So just try to like hold your pencil light, and rather than going, you know, following all my lines, you should try just flow with it more, I guess you could say. So here I'm just gonna flow with the eye, where I'm just gonna go up at the corner of the eye, and then after that I'm gonna find a low space, then I go up, then I go up, and then I just repeat that, making the eyelashes smaller as they get closer. I don't go all the way here, so you want to just leave a small space, and then you're gonna make a small crease that indicates the eyelid, which makes it a bit more feminine. So here we're just gonna replicate the same thing. It's not always gonna come out the same, so we're just gonna try to do almost the same thing. So go up, 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 leave the space, then make the crease line here, and then there we go. So let's do some shading, because you know we all like that shading in jazz. So we know we have a highlight over here, so we're just gonna make kind of like a hole, I guess, like this, which is gonna tell us that we're not gonna trespass that part. So now we're just gonna make the pupil, which is almost like an oval shape that just starts from where we have the highlight and goes up, and then we just go all the way up here. So we're gonna do it to the other side, replicating the same thing to make it look kind of identical, I guess. And there we go. Next we're gonna start. Now, usually to make the eye look shiny, you would like to start with a darker shading and then go lighter. And that indicates the lighter part gives the highlight part, and the darker part is kind of like a shadow in a way. So we're gonna do that in this eye. So we're gonna start off dark, and you're gonna try doing the same color as you did for the pupil, nice and dark. And then, as soon as you hit that highlight part, you want to start fading out and making it light. There we go. And then now we're going to do it to the other side. So we're going to go up, and then now we're going to go down using some darkness, and as soon as we hit the highlight part, we're going to fade light. Just like that. So once you're done, you can always just erase your guidelines. So here I go with erasing mine. I'm gonna use just this lousy eraser I use for school, and then the eraser at the back of my pencil. And here we go. So now over here, we've got the squared manga girl eyes. Now we want to do the curved manga girl eyes, in which I'm going to make the guidelines for, you know, the top and the bottom of the eye once again. So it's just once over here, and then you don't really have to make it specific, but I guess I could just tell you exactly how many centimeters if you wanted to know exactly. Make it up to like around 2 centimeters or a little bit less, and then cut it off, and then you draw your line. After that, you draw a line in the middle, and there we go. We've got our guideline. Once again, we want to make sure we keep the space. So I'm just going to indicate where I'm going to have my space, which is going to be here. And then just fan up, fan up. There we go. So the curved manga girl eyes basically kind of look in a way like this. They have more of the circular pupil rather than the squared pupil that we had here. So we're going to start off once again with the curve, but rather than when we were making this curve here, we were basically using the guideline of an oval and just curving off like that. But here we want to make an oval sideways this time, so our curve is going to move more lengthwise rather than rounder. So we're just gonna try curve, going long, and then hitting the mark. Then now we're gonna do the same, curved, going long, then hitting our mark. Right. Now we're gonna do the same thing as we did there. We're gonna do now that crease mark, you know, this part. But when we're doing the curved eye, the crease mark becomes longer rather than the short stubby crease line that we had when we had the squared eyes. So here we're just gonna make a crease mark. I don't know why I call it crease mark. I call everything a crease mark. So excuse me. And then there we go. Sorry, I just wanted to head over there. I'm just gonna explain it on the side then. So there we go. And then we're just gonna make the same thing, the normal line at the bottom. And we're gonna go here. And here you're gonna notice that it's gonna leave some space. That's because when you're making the circular eye, it's gonna be much more, I guess, squished rather than long as the square eyes, and it's gonna be longer. So it's more lengthy and shorter rather than when you're making the squared eye where it's short and long. Right. So now we're gonna make the eyeball. I was gonna call it pupil. So when we're making the eyeball, we just wanna try replicate kind of a circle in a way. So we're gonna go up from the top and then just go around. And we don't wanna touch the bottom. We wanna leave tiny small space at the bottom. I don't know, I just like the effect of it. You could always touch the bottom if you want, but I like the effect of it, so when you're shading, it looks a bit more shiny. So you want to try to keep it a bit lighter when you go down. So there we go. We've got the normal part of the eye. And once again, I told you that we gotta have the eyelashes. So we're just gonna curve. Eyelashes, I used to have a really hard time with them because I used to have my hand really rigid. Another thing I used to have a hard time with was drawing hair. And I still have a hard time with drawing different hairstyles, but I'm trying to improve on it in a way. So a hair tutorial probably might not come up if I'm not exactly asked to, because I'm not that good with hair. Then we're gonna have the crease line of the eyeball. Crease line. So now the next thing we're gonna have is we're gonna indicate the highlight once again. Now in the side, you're not gonna cut it off. You're gonna put it inside the eye, and it's gonna become smaller in a way. So it's gonna be here, and it's gonna be right there. And then here we're gonna try to put it again over this corner, and there we go. We've got the highlight. So we're gonna start with the pupil, and with the pupil, we're just gonna start dark once again in an oval motion, just as we did on the square eye. Then we're gonna start dark, and as soon as we hit that highlight, we're gonna start fanning out, making it light, like that. So we're gonna do it once again on this side, where we're gonna start dark. So we're just gonna make the pupil nice and dark, hit almost below the highlight, and you wanna make sure it's kind of separated by the highlight so that it looks more of like a highlight, because these are darker parts. So then we start off dark at the top, and then as soon as we hit that highlight, we're gonna start fanning out light, just like that. And there we go, guys. That's the circular eye. And I'm just gonna make it dark at the top here so that it has more of that effect. Now let's erase these pesky guidelines, which are just quite annoying, but really helpful. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Just use my pencil, go over these guidelines, erasing them off, and there we go, guys. So these are the two eyes we have, the squared eyes, and then we have the circular eyes. I hope this tutorial was helpful to y'all, and if you want more in-depth explanation, you can always ask in the comments below. So have a nice day, guys. Goodbye.